Okay, I think we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm Marin. I'm the founder of My Kindness Calendar, and I'm super excited about this first of many lives that we're going to be doing over the next little while. For the first time, we are going to highlight a different act of kindness every week and invite a special friend and a special expert on to tell us about how they handle that act of kindness and their expertise in that area. So I am going to try to add my good friend, Tara, if this works. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Okay. Tara, are you here? Oh,
Hello.
yeah, it worked. Hey. I'm all
Yay.
nervous because, as you know, I did a live with Indigo just a couple of days ago and there was audio problems. So now I'm very tentative, but I think we're all good. And if there are audio issues or any other issues, I will trust and rely on our handy audience to let us know so that we
Yes.
can fix it as quickly as possible and move
Yes,
on.
please let us know if there's audio challenges for you.
Okay, this is so fun. This is so fun. So this is the lovely Tara Grotto, who is the founder of Raising Resilient Children, and who years ago I first met when she sold me her child's secondhand snowsuit. And that is the way we first met. And I'm never going to forget the story because I cherished that snowsuit for both of my kids. And it has led us to this amazing experience where we have so much stuff in common. And I just really admire and love the work that you do. And I'm so happy that we've been able to collaborate. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and what you get up to?
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, I have fond memories of that snowsuit as well.
Honestly, it was the best snowsuit. It was literally the best snowsuit. Yeah.
I know, and it's so durable. So yes, I'm Tara. I'm the founder of Raising Resilient Children. I work with parents of children ages 2 to 12 to navigate the overwhelm and sort of foster social emotional skills while we're doing that. And what that means is I help you identify big feelings, tools for those big feelings, and also raise an awareness around we all have feelings and we all need tools for those feelings. So, it's a passion project of mine. I have been an educator for over 20 years. I have worked in guidance, I have worked in administration, I worked as a teacher, and I owned a preschool for 7.5 years. So this is sort of my pride and joy, is talking about how important social emotional intelligence is and how it can make your life easier. Really, that's sort of what's evolved. Is when I was running my preschool, my clients used to say, Tara, you have something here. Like, what you do is something. You need to take it beyond the preschool. Like, wait till our kids are done, but can you please take this to the world? And I actually had started at the beginning of 2020. I was planning a slow transition out of my preschool and a slow transition into being a parent educator. And then this little pandemic thing happened.
Yeah, convenient timing, eh?
So here we are, explosion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's who I am and what I do here at Raising Resilient Children.
Well, you've done amazing things. And if you guys don't follow Tara's content, it's so engaging and there's such bite-sized pieces of really like helpful information that everybody can incorporate into their routines with their kids and their relationship building with their kids and all kinds of stuff. And today, specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about books because one of our acts of kindness that's on one of the kindness calendars that we wanted to highlight today was read to someone or read a book to someone. So Tara has a brilliant strategy and way of using books specifically as tools to help parents start conversation, open the doors to larger perspectives, provide, I mean, I won't explain it for you. You can do that. But first, just tell us like why books? Where did this tie into literacy come from for you? And how did you arrive there in your journey?
So it's actually 20 years ago, before I started my master's in education. I was actually at a leadership conference that was not for educators. It was for people who were doing training for like corporate jobs. And so I was doing a leadership training seminar and somebody pulled out a picture book. and they used it to debrief the audience. And as an educator, I mean, I had always worked with kids, and I mean, I was like, oh, no brainer, book. But when I looked around the room, I was like, wait a second, these are all like teenagers and adults, and they're using a picture book, and they use it in such a way that I was like, there is so much possibility here. There is so much that we can do. And sort of that was like the aha moment for me. And then I
Mhm.
actually did my thesis on how can we use picture books to foster what at the time was called experiential learning. This
Mhm.
idea that we all need to have experiences to grow and develop. It's now called empathy. But this idea that how can we learn through experience? Well, a great way to learn through experience is through a book because it has so much detail. And if if you're thinking about who wrote the book, who illustrated the book, you're also getting into like some authentic voices. So you can
Mhm.
really, it's almost like going on a trip. You can go
Yeah.
on a trip
Mhm.
through a book and create this meaningful experience, which really helps you foster like authentic empathy. This idea that how do we know someone else feels a certain way? Well, we can know by seeing and doing and learning. And books are such a key way of doing that. So that's sort of the aha moment was actually not related to education. And I've used it ever since. I've used it with teenagers, I've used it with adults, I've used it with little people because there's something so magical about books. And if you follow me, I talk a lot about them.
It's true. You know what? And I never even told you this. I grew up working in libraries and my mom was a librarian. Yeah, Tara and I
Nice.
have like all these random weird connections.
You totally
Like
do.
our both spent time in Saudi Arabia. We have
Yes.
this book connection. We have this snowsuit connection. There's all these strange ones. But I
Beautiful.
love all of that and I agree so much. And I know you do so much good work for parents and helping them out. And for me as a parent, um, it's tough and we get tongue tied so often, like struggling to find the right words and like what to say and how to approach a concept. And books are just, it's like little golden nuggets because it takes so much of that pressure off you as a parent to know exactly what to say and how to say it and just be a platform for such a larger conversation through somebody else's expertise or through somebody else's, knowledge that I find for me relieves a lot of that pressure sometimes. When
For
COVID
sure.
started, closed, like that was very challenging because so much of my parenting strategy is like find the book, where's the book
Yes.
that with this and how can I use that to start where I need to go as a conversation.
Yes. And I think, I mean, one of the things that I found is that was the thing that people have always asked me, Tara, what's the book for?
Yeah.
Right? Where's the book for grief? Where's the book for sadness? Where's the book for, right? So I kept getting asked these questions. And then the stage two questions started to be, but you read it a certain way with your preschoolers. You did this certain thing. How did you do that? Can you show me how? And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to share with the world is books can be such an avenue for so many things. So you can start a conversation, but they can also guide you with other avenues. There's so many possibilities. And I think that's maybe a good segue to like how I
Mhm.
used books with the kindness calendar. So in my home and in my preschool, December has always been kindness month. It has been a month where every day we do something related to kindness as sort of a bigger goal. I mean, kindness is such a core value to me. My parenting program is called Building Resilience Through Kindness because it's just so important to me that we sort of foster an understanding of kindness. So one of the things that I did in my preschool with the kindness calendar, and it's funny, I actually pulled out the box the other day, the original one, my original one and the new one you gave me.
Original box.
Um,
I'm a
the
long way.
original box. The new one's so fancy and pretty.
Yeah, fancy.
um, which is, I mean, that's the amazing evolution of business, right? To like
Yeah.
see that transformation. But one of the things that I used to do in planning out the stickers for the calendar was how can I use books to make those connections? How can I use books to help children understand why are we doing this food bank drive? Why are we gathering toys for this family? Why are we, going to have a meal together in a different way than usual? So that was
Yeah.
one of the things I did was I would take your sticker for the calendar and then create a learning behind it. So I have a few books from our curated
Yes,
list
yes, yes,
that I
yes.
can share.
And if you haven't downloaded the curated list yet, please do. That's what Tara put together for us this week. It's some of her favorite books that tackle all of these social emotional concepts that sort of underlie and are the underpinning to a lot of the My Kindness Calendar products. So empathy, gratitude, growth mindset, self-confidence, all this good stuff, and these amazing books that are just a launching point. So which ones did you choose for us today? I can't wait to see.
Amazing. Well, I can't talk about social emotional intelligence if I don't introduce a Peter Reynolds book, and this one came out this week. So this is a brand new book, and I'll just like zoom in here. So these are stickers from the calendars.
Yeah, I recognize those. I have about 100 on my walls in every room.
So like, for example, this book, I might have, so this book is about setting aside technology and sort of making space for connection and getting back to meaningful family connection. And the idea of like, when could we get together? Maybe we can't do it every day, but could we do it once a week? Could we, how can we, be less busy a little bit, right? So, there's make dinner as a family, right? So you could read a story like this, and then you would be able to fulfill one of the stickers on the calendar. And if you've never seen a Peter Reynolds book, his whole series, there are no bad Peter Reynolds books. They are so fantastic.
And
So
he's
that's,
so distinct. Like he has such a distinct, the pictures and even the
yes,
font of everything, like you will recognize if you know his books.
yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
This is one I actually used last year. So last year during the pandemic, I ran what I call pandemic programs. And basically it was a collection of kids, and it was like an extracurricular activity. We got together twice a week around books to build social emotional skills. And one of the books that I used was Barnabas Project by the Fan Brothers. They they actually are local to me in the GTA here. This book just won a huge award. This book is all about being your authentic self, being who you are despite everything, and finding your own sort of kindred spirits, to steal from Anne of Green Gables. Like, who are you and who can you be and what are your possibilities, and don't be like others, right? So it's about a like elephant mouse who's actually a failed project, right? And he has a really like tough time. So I picked some stickers here, right? Encourage someone because they work together as a team in this book. Tell someone why they're special. And there's all kinds of opportunities in this book to talk about why are you special? What is unique about you? What's your super unique superpower? Give someone a compliment. And I love this one. Tell someone what makes you special. Whoops, here we go. So again, here's a great book to talk about a character that struggles with being a failed project because they're different. And how is your child different? And how does this different project find other cool people and, sorry, critters, there's no people, to be with, right? And then again, you can fulfill this, right? So who else is unique? Who can you go give a compliment to for their awesome, unique quality? Right? So that's a great example of like how I used this book last year. And I also had them all create their own unique character to go with the book.
I love that.
So, yeah, it was just a fun, because that's how you create, if you just ask a child what makes you unique, you'll probably get like a 1 or 2 word answer. But then you go through a book and you talk about how this mouse slash elephant and all his friends, and you're able to get into, and then they start to say, oh, I work with a team sometimes, I do. It helps trigger those great conversations.
For sure. It's a vulnerable space to like, especially on the new calendar, the Be Kind All the Time calendar. I put a lot of, you want to be kind towards others, but then there's also show kindness to yourself. Vulnerable, and that can be a lot harder sometimes for kids to tap into that. And so using a book to, get those wheels turning and showing that it's a safe space, and, it's just so helpful to not, because the last thing you want to do is put a kid on the spot to, ask question, they're not confident with an answer, and then they feel pressure as opposed to inspiration to participate and like explore and be curious and that kind of thing. So it's just so much
Absolutely.
of that. Like books are so good for getting curious. It's so
For
good.
sure. And I think sometimes, and we don't do this on purpose as caring adults, but sometimes as caring adults, we kind of get into like interrogation mode because we're
Hmm.
worried about something, or we really want to know something, or we really want to see our children to see their value. And as a result, we kind of get into this like asking too many questions. Whereas when you're around a book, it's just like very natural because the questions can stem from what you're looking at
Yeah,
versus we're looking at each other and having this very intense sort of
right.
interrogation moment. The
Or we
outcome,
it's like we ask questions based on our own fears and our own experience rather than the child's fears and the child's
yeah,
experience. So it's
yes,
like
absolutely.
projecting our own thing onto them. Whereas if you kind of neutralize it through an objective experience
Yes.
book, then you're kind of leaving them space to like, you know,
For sure.
form
And
their
I
own.
know like I have clients who will send me messages and be like, yeah, my child asked for such and such a book and I really wasn't sure why. And I'm like, oh, there's something in that book that connected to them. They're trying to tell you something,
Mm-hmm.
right? They want to have a moment with you around this, some kind of shared experience.
Yeah.
So books can be that sort of, that gateway, that sort of, hey, let's have this conversation about this tricky, difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of parents are like, but what if they ask me questions I can't answer? What if they say something I don't know? That's where you say, thank you for asking the question. Let me get more information for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to have conversations just because kids are going to ask you hard questions. Like one of the things I'm kind of known for is like, you can ask me anything. And if I don't have the answer, I'll just tell you I need to find it.
Yeah.
Versus if we say, we're afraid that they're too young to hear something or we avoid it, what the message they hear is, it's not okay to talk about these things.
Right.
And we don't mean to do that. We're feeling insecure and unprepared.
Right.
Where if we open the dialogue and say, oh, I don't actually know. Let me find out. Let's work on this together. We can problem solve
Yeah.
this together.
I love that. So true. Because P.S. kids, we don't know most things, right?
What? You don't know everything?
Yeah. Okay, so
I
let's
feel like I
get
have
for
random.
one more.
Yeah, let's do so this book is that another one I used in my pandemic program. It was also released last year. So I tried on the curated list to have a range of diversity, a range of different types of authors and styles, and Canadian. I really tried to highlight some Canadian authors because I think that's really
Mhm.
important. The one with the scraggly beard, this book is actually written by Elizabeth Withay. This is about her brother who lives on the streets, and it's about the story where he meets his nephew. And this story is all about empathy. It's all about how he was a child once too, and how he is her brother, and that's his uncle. And what are their shared things about who they are as humans, as people. And I used this book with a group of 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. And what we talked about, I live in a big city, so we do see a lot of people living on the street. And one of the great things about a book like this is it gives kids an opportunity to ask questions where maybe on the street they might point and you'd be like, don't point, don't point. This is like,
Mhm.
here, let's have this conversation so that we know how to approach a situation, so that we know what to say and how to be empathetic, because this is a person. This is a
Mhm.
person, right, who was a boy once, and that's what this story is about. And that was her goal in writing this book. I want people to see that this is a person. And we talked about in the group, like, what are the things that we need, right? We need food, we need
Mhm.
shelter, we need clothing, and we need caring, compassion. We need
Mhm.
love, right? So we used this book to start some of your make a lunch for someone who needs help. And I actually learned that one of the families that I was working with at the time, they like used to bring lunch at least once a week to somebody near a subway station that's close to their house. Like it was a thing that they did. They had a great relationship with this guy named Luke, and they had this thing where they would bring a lunch. So I learned that by having this conversation. It was so cool. And then,
And how
give,
that when a kid gets to teach you something, like
yes.
that's so amazing when they get to contribute and teach you something throughout the
This
conversation.
book, I learned so much from the kids.
Hmm.
So much from the things that they see on the street that I don't notice. So much from like what their perspective is. And I
Hmm.
think like one of the things like donate to a food bank, it can be a really abstract thing for kids, right? And
Hmm.
that was a part of something I did every year in my preschool. We used to do a food bank, and we also used to sponsor a couple of families. That was a thing that we did as a group. So all the families in my program got together and would sponsor some families. And it was a bit abstract for the kids to be like, why are we collecting food? Because for them, food was not something that they ever thought about. So
Right.
by reading a book like this and then saying, okay, we have to go to the food bank because, someone's uncle needs some
Hmm.
food. And they asked me, how does the bathroom situation? Like, I got all the questions, right? It was a good example of like, don't be afraid of the questions, because boy, I got some.
Yeah.
I got some big questions reading this book. But that's why she wrote it. That's why she wrote it. And that's another reason it's so important to like, you know, look for books or think about books, or check for lists where the books, someone has thought about, okay, who wrote the book, right? What's their goal? And the goal of this book was empathy around
Hmm.
homelessness and poverty. So
Hmm.
yeah, so that was an amazing conversation and
Well,
takeaway.
that's great. And I mean, I'm so honored that, you were able to incorporate the kindness calendars into your incredible teaching. And that's exactly what they're for, is not like to do a thing. It's not just the what, it's the why behind the what. And that is something that you've just articulated so brilliantly, and that you're doing so seamlessly with your kids. And now that you shared it with us, a lot of people will be doing the same thing, which is fantastic. So thank you. That was
No,
so fun.
it was fun. So there's a
Thanks.
whole bunch more books on the list. I tried to, like, for those watching, on the list, I tried to go through all of Marin's stickers and sort of think about books that could be paired, what could work to teach skills. So yeah, you could technically do a book for every sticker if you wanted
I
to.
think it's on my to-do list. So you can, like, I'm like, can you see my computer in the background? Things to do. But absolutely. And so download the list, follow Tara. She's going to be continuously sharing
Yeah.
amazing resources. And like, as if you have the new books, like 5 days after they're released, you're on top of everything, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And then go to your library or get
Yes.
your online library app, because so many of them are available online as well, to read, which is great. And I can't wait to check all of them out. Um, and I want to say thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. This was fun. I
Oh,
can
my
always talk
pleasure.
about books.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
thanks everybody for joining.
Thank
And
you. Does anybody have
again,
any
next.
questions? Do you want to ask
Oh,
if
do we
anybody
have any questions?
I don't
We have
think
some
so.
people
Does
here.
anybody have any questions before we completely say goodbye?
I don't see any questions. I have to wave back to all these people who joined, which is fantastic. Thank you everybody for joining. That really made our day. I will
Yeah,
say.
awesome. And those of you catching the replay, what I will try and do is after you post it for the replay,
Mhm.
I'll go and put the titles of the books with
Amazing.
the stickers so that
Okay.
people have that connection if they want.
Good stuff.
Amazing.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks
Thanks,
again, Tara.
Lauren.
Bye.